So it sounds like there are definitely many challenges for a movement, both before they overthrown their dictator and after. But before we kind of peel back into some of those things, one thing I want to get out is that you always advocate. People hear revolution and they think, oh, that must mean violent revolution. But you are supportive of nonviolent revolution. Why is that? Why is nonviolence the answer to overthrowing a often military-backed dictator?
Well, I mean, the reason why I personally do that is that the place where I was doing revolution was torn apart by civic wars. So very idea of wearing weapons and camouflage uniforms was not something affiliated with my generation. Nonviolent struggles tend to be more ethical than the violent struggle, but more important for this point, nonviolent struggle tend to be twice more effective than the violent struggle. And there is a wide scientific research done by several scholars. I will just mention Maria Stephan, Erika Chenoweth, Kurt Schock, people that were looking into cases of nonviolent movements and violent movements, nonviolent movements with radical flanks like ANC in South Africa, and see the different effectiveness of these movements. First thing comes from the common sense. If you're challenging your opponent, you want to do it at the point where you are strong and your opponent is weak. Challenging somebody like Assad on the field of violence, challenging Tatmadaw in Burma, the catastrophic mistake that the movement now is doing in Burma, is somehow having this idea that making a guerrilla army will out generals who were ruling country with a golden heel for 30 years. This is challenging Mike Tyson in the boxing ring. You don't want to challenge your opponent where he is strong and you are weak. What about playing a chess with Mike Tyson? You're probably more likely to win. Another one is from the very nature of movements. Science, history, experience, guts teaches us that the people power movements are more powerful if they have more people. So this is just the common sense. So there is a direct scientific correlation between the number of the people participating in the movement and the capability of success. A larger portion of the society involves, larger the chances for success. But look at what guerrilla movements do to it. So start with thinking how many people you know that would be ready to camp in the woods, kill and die for what they believe, don't see their family for months, and had some kind of military training. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you live in a city with a lot of military like I do, Colorado Springs, probably know 6 people like that. And take a look at how many people you know that will do, the human chain, or hitting pots and pans from the window, or putting stickers, and take a look at your phone book and boo, here comes the half of the phone book. So taking a look at the recruitment base, the possibility to gain numbers, this is where the nonviolence really plays in. And then you take a look at how you lose numbers when you turn violent and start thinking out of your common sense and say, okay, there's this large nonviolent protest like a festival thing where there is a music and cakes and pranks and whatever, balloons with a funky looking president of the United States. And of course I'm going there and I'm bringing my wife and I'm bringing 2 of my young kids and everybody will have fun. So it's 4 of us from this household. Now take a look at a little bit more riskier level of things where you have the demonstrations in Hong Kong where there will be a tear gas, there will be police. Okay, I'm going, but I'm leaving my family home because I don't want my 5-year-old to get caught in a crossfire of stones and a tear gas. And then let's think about going to the place where bombs can fall or live rounds may be shot. I'm not going. So taking a look at the very common sense of why people will or won't participate, this makes the whole point. Well, but speaking of nonviolence, we need to distinguish between the nonviolence, the philosophy, the ethics, the life stance, and something we teach, which is called nonviolent discipline. Nonviolent discipline is a skill. And skills can be taught, skills can be learned. So in order to make your movement nonviolent, you need to teach it and preach it to your members. It needs to be the part of your vision, commitment. It needs to be both religion and ideology of the movement. Good if you have a religious background, good if you're coming from a Buddhism, good if you have Gandhi, good if you have Martin Luther King, the man of God, the man of peace. But even if you don't, We in Otpor didn't have that religious component at all, and many movements don't. You preach it to the members the way that it is somehow superior than the violence. And in a strategic planning, you're looking at the activities that are less likely to produce the violence. So less mass tactics of concentration where people can go nuts and police go to the live rounds, more small tactics of dispersion, more hitting pots and pans, more boycotts, more tactics that are less likely to produce violence. Also thinking about how you deal with potentially violent group is a very important thing. And there are many occasions where we have the violent groups. In Serbia, we have football fans, soccer fans in American language.
Thank you.
Yeah. You call football this crazy game with people wear armor and throw funny-looking ball with hands. Very logically to name it football, yes? So the soccer fans, yes. So they hated President Milosevic with their guts, but their idea of protesting was fighting with police. And so we ended from talking to them, deterring them to participating into defending police from them. So here is the police. Here we are. Police arrested 2.5 thousand of our members within 2000 year only. And here we are making a human chain to defend the police that hates us from the soccer fans that supports us. That looks crazy. But this is how we were able to decrease the level of violence, maintain the participation, keep up with the philosophy of the movement, but also it was a very powerful weapon towards the police. Because next time they're ordered to shoot tear gas at us, they're ordered to attack the people who are ready to defend them. And this is a big dilemma for them. And especially when you have the police pillar in the game, where you're talking about the BLM or you're talking about the Hong Kong, it is really important how you communicate with them, because this is where the rubber hit the road. You will meet these people next week on the street. So taking a look into this communication and understanding that the real way to turn pillars and institution is not by pushing, e.g. yelling, screaming, stoning, whatever, Molotov cocktailing them, as opposed to giving them flowers and talking to them and defending them and asking a simple question. Wouldn't you rather serve and protect law and order than serve or protect a little corrupted family on the top of this country? Because these people are still people. They're not machines. And behind these shields and buttons and helmets and uniforms, they are living people with families, with problems, with cars to fix, with mortgages to pay. And their kids go to the same school as your kids. So taking a look into human side of the security forces also justifies the reasons for having nonviolent discipline, because you can't pull the people you threaten to kill. So if you threaten to kill them, it is very less likely that they are going to shift sides. If, however, you sympathize with them and use the sentence we often use in Serbia, we are the victims of the same guys. You're wearing blue uniforms, we are wearing blue jeans, but we are in this stupid situation where you are defending a ruling, corrupted family and need to go to schools and arrest kids who wear the movement t-shirt. Wouldn't you rather go and chase drug dealers? Of course you do. This is why you applied to be a police person.
I can definitely see how that's a kind of persuasive argument towards the police. But in your movement, when you guys started defending the police, did you have any internal backlash about that? Like within your movement about like, well, how can you defend these guys that we're fighting?
Oh, it took 8 years of evolution between us and the police to really figure this out. Early 90s, 92, 93, at the beginnings of the student movement that was before Otpor, the normal reaction to the protesters when they see police was to do av, 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 which is mimicking this barking sound of a dog.
Mm-hmm.
The message was clear: you are no better than dogs to us, because you are the dogs defending your evil boss, and you're just the guardian dogs of the regime. Then after that, they would beat you with the appetite. And that makes all of the sense. So it took us 8 years of understanding that the policeman, we didn't have a women at police force at the time, is just the man in the police uniform. And it took a lot of understanding and training people and really talking to the police. What we did a lot was talking to the police, and not only talking with them when a clash is inevitable and we have thousands on our sides and they have hundreds on their sides, talking with them on a corner, talking on them with the shop, finding a way to use the organization. Go back to the first point. If you have organization on the ground, then you have people who live where the local police live. We need to learn about the police in order to sway police. It's not learning about us and thinking that it is us and them. It is having people in a place where police live. It's talking to the local police. That outlines once again the importance of organization. So you really want to have a person in each neighborhood. You really want to have 3 persons in each buildings. This is how this struggle thrives. This is how these struggles get power to reach to the other side. And also philosophically understanding that what your opponent wants is a division in society. The way you maintain dictatorship, where you talk China, or you talk Hong Kong, or you talk Serbia, or you talk Venezuela, is constant us against them situation, where people are so divided among themselves that they wouldn't even start thinking about how they can collect garbage more effectively than the corrupt government can collect garbage. Because once they define and once they find that they can do things together, then they become collective. And when become collective, then they become very dangerous. And, taking a look into Orwell's 1984 or taking a look into the Mao's China, you'll see how governments were desperately cutting these horizontal relationships between the people, ending up with, kids reporting parents if they talk politics at home. This is kind of very scary vision of totalitarian regime. The real reason for this, dictatorships want you to look up and down. They don't want you to look left and right and see the people around you. Because if this if this community power is unleashed, then your opponent is in deep trouble.